Okay, are we ready to get started?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So, recently there's been a lot of hype about juice and juicing. It was kind of once thought to be like a health fanatic type of thing, or people that were just kind of into that kind of lifestyle. But recently there's been, juice bars that have opened up in neighborhoods, and a lot of the grocery stores are carrying the individually sold juices, and it comes in a variety. And you might notice there's a lot of green juice lately. Probably about 8 years ago, I had, I guess you could say, my first introduction into juicing. And it was when I was a nanny for 3 kids. And the mother every morning wanted me to, sorry, technical difficulties there. Sorry. The mother wanted me to juice every morning for them, and she had a specific recipe to go by. And at first I kind of thought it was a little hokey, and I really didn't really understand what her purpose for doing it was. But over time, I began to sip on it, and I found it was really bitter. And it was so shocking to me that all 3 of the young kids enjoyed drinking it. And I asked her about it one day, and she said, well, I've been giving this to them since they were really young. And originally this started because they were sick in daycares, and she had gotten on a mom's group, and some of the mothers were discussing different juice recipes, and one was supposed to boost your immunity. Well, it just so happens at that time period I was really going through a lot of stuff. I had sinus infections, allergies, bronchitis, and so I thought, well, it couldn't hurt to try it. And shockingly, I did not have any ailments during that 6-month period. So I don't know if it was mind over matter, or it actually worked. But I'm going to go ahead and hand you guys. It's kind of like a little Quizlet, and I should cover most of the material, but it's really to kind of help me and gauge me on what I haven't covered. So if at the end you have any questions that you still are unsure of, just ask. So why should you juice? Well, the number one reason is health benefits. It's not for the taste. It's not really because it's that easy to do, but it's for the health benefits. There's a variety of reasons to juice. It wards off disease. It reduces the risk of cancer. Boosts your immune system, like it did me. And this bottom point right here is probably the number one reason that it's being encouraged by a lot of pediatricians and nutritionists, because the average American does not reach the dietary recommendations for fruits and vegetables. So there's pretty much a recipe for anything. You can almost cure toenail fungus if you, according to the juice sites. But you kind of need to be a little you need to put a little bit of thinking into it, because there are a lot of recipes that claim, it'll do such and such. But I'm going to hand you 3 different recipes. One, I actually personally made this a lot for the woman I worked for, and it's the one that uses beets.
Beets.
It's a beet and carrot and kind of, I want to say, cucumber recipe. As you can see, there's different recipes for different things. There's certain antioxidants that are in certain fruits that promote wellness, and it's kind of a holistic approach over modern medicine. And that's kind of the new thing in general right now, is if you can take care of this and do this, for yourself, and it prevents you from having to have, medicine, which a big deal is being, how do I say this, resistant to antibiotics. They think there's this big, I won't go into that. It's just help. It's supposedly supposed to help for, okay. So when comparing store-bought over homemade, so typically homemade juice, store-bought juice, has a higher sugar content. And for people like myself who are insulin resistant and diabetics, that's a big deal. It's not even just natural sugars. Natural sugars affect you the same way that artificial, or not necessarily artificial.
I didn't know that.
Added sugar, corn syrup, it still spikes your insulin levels. So, when you make it at home, you can kind of adjust that to your needs. For me, I typically use a lot of fruits and vegetables that are low in sugar. Mine are typically a little bit more bitter and have a lot more greens in them. So they're not always as palatable for other people. But like I said, you can add peaches, you can add peaches, pineapples, any kind of melon, and a lot of that makes it easier for other people, and small children especially. So not everybody's like the Zarskis. So when you go into choosing a juicer, there's really two that are on the market right now. And it's the centrifugal and the masticating. And the first one I just mentioned is kind of the more economical one to purchase for juicing, or for the home, for personal use. The masticating is it's more for like juice bars or people that are really into it and can just afford it. I mean, they can go up from, like the one we'll be using is a Breville, and it's about probably $130 to $150, and they can go up to about $2,000. I think that's what I like. The masticating, yeah. The citrus press, that's the very, very bottom end of the line. But at the same time, if you're really only interested in like oranges, lemons, limes, and that's your primary purpose for using it, it's much more economical to use that if you're not going to be using any like, vegetables with like rinds and stuff like that. So other considerations. Well, I'm not going to lie to you. Juicing is not necessarily easy. It's a big cleanup. That's something you should definitely consider. If you're not interested in spending, probably I'd say juicing altogether from start to finish probably is about a 20 to 30 minute process, and it's not necessarily super easy or convenient in the mornings. I found that out the hard way. Also, you need to think about the motor. I'm going to show you a product that I bought. I have not had a problem with it, but after I purchased it, it's actually an extractor, and it's an alternative to juicing. It's got really bad reviews for the motor burning out. I did not know that when I purchased it, but it's something that before you spend $200, you probably do want to look into and make sure that there's a warranty on it, and that you're going to be able to get your money for it. So that's kind of what brings me to the NutriBullet. There's other healthy alternatives, and actually in a way, the NutriBullet is a lot cleaner. It's a lot easier to use. It probably, all in all, it takes me about 10 minutes to use. The problem is it's because it's a pulverizer, it's got a lot more like pulpy taste to, or not pulpy, but texture. Oh. And if you're a person that like texture bothers you, it's can be kind of hard. And I feel like that I'm pretty good about that. And the last one I made, it was kind of rough digesting. Now they do say that the NutriBullet you get the maximum because it's not extracting the fiber, which is a complaint about juice. You're still not getting your fiber because a lot of the fiber does come from the peel or various other parts. But
you have to peel your fruits and vegetables for this one.
No, you do not. Actually, I do not peel mine, but that's part of it. Like, for instance, the centrifugal, what it does is that pulp is being spun so rapidly that it extracts the juice, and then it's spit out into the bucket.
The peels
yes,
and stuff.
yes.
Oh.
The NutriBullet actually, all it does is it pulverizes it, so it's still there, but it's not got that super smooth, texture that most people desire when they're drinking juice. In fact, which is kind of interesting, I stopped by a juice bar and I noticed that the machine they were using, and we'll have a sample of that, it looked like a blender because it did not extract anything, but it was really, really smooth, which leads me to think that it might be the masticating, and that's why it was so expensive, because it did get that really fine juice texture. But pricing is a huge deal with juice. That from the juice bar, that one 12-ounce drink cost me $6.99.
Wow.
All of the ingredients which we'll be using for the juice that I'll be demonstrating is, I think it was like $9, and that would probably make like 2 pitchers of juice. So, you've got to see like cost efficiency here. But something else that leads me to bring up is that juice, I don't really know exactly why, and I shouldn't say that, but you're not supposed to store it after 24 hours. So I don't know if it's like it loses the nutrients, I don't necessarily think it'd be bad for you, but it's just probably not at like the optimum level that they're suggesting for you. So my favorite juice, and this is what I'll be making, is green juice. and it does boost your immune system. This particular recipe right here makes a lot. You can actually cut it down. In fact, most of the times if I'm making it for myself, I would only use like 2 apples, 1 lemon, you know, just cut that all in half, and it would be plenty for just myself. That would make enough for about all 4 of us, and so I'll be demonstrating that. So that leads me to my demonstration. If you guys would like to relocate. Okay, so here we have the Breville. This is the centrifugal. It was about 130 to 150. It's about 2 or 3 years old, and so far, with my personal experience, it's my favorite. It's my favorite over a blender, and it's my favorite over this. Just because it is more palatable. The texture is good, the juice, you kind of can adjust the flavor a little bit better. You'll see when you can compare them that this one with the exact same ingredients is going to be a lot more like pulpy kind of texture. And in fact, I think, like I said, my last one was almost something you could eat with a spoon. I mean, it was pretty
Chunky.
intense, yeah. So I guess we'll start. I think we'll start with, let me give you guys a sample. These are all different types of juices that you can buy in the store. This is an example of a blueberry blend. It's more fruity. It's probably, for most people, it is more palatable. For myself, because of my issues, it's got a little bit more sugar. Actually, it's got a lot more sugar than what I would normally drink. But these are some other ones that you can make that is going to be very similar to the ones that I'm going to concoct here in a second. And this is Naked, and I don't think I've heard of this one, but that's another thing I need to mention. These are all cold pressed juices.
What's that?
Cold pressed juices, the nutrients aren't cooked out of them. So like your typical orange juices, cranberry juice, pretty much like all of that kind of stuff, it's heated, and so you're not really getting the optimal nutrition, and a lot of times they're so sugary it kind of counteracts anything that you're trying, like any health benefits. And there's so many health problems that are associated with high sugar. I mean, it's not just for diabetics and insulin resistance. So, but we'll have a little sample of why I'm making these. I'll let you guys try this out. Do you want to start with the blueberry?
Sure.
Okay.
I guess she'll bring it to us.
Sounds pretty thick.
It did, didn't it?
Thank you. Actually, I've had this kind. It's really good. It is really tasty. Would you like a little sip?
Sure.
Never had that before? Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's actually pretty good.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be the one, while you're sipping on this, I'm going to demonstrate this. And then I'm going to have you demonstrate this to show how easy it is. This one definitely, I mean, as far as ease of use, it's a lot easier, and you'll see that. So, what you do is we start off, these are our ingredients, let me move this to the side. And right here we've got kale, romaine lettuce, apple, ginger root, and lemon. So I'm going to turn it on. It's a little loud. Let's keep it going. As you can see, it just spits out a all of the pulp. We've got the lime. And that is the ginger root. Now, it's ready to drink. So, what we'll do is I'll pour you guys a little sample, and then I'm going to show you.
The pink is my glass.
Okay, the pink is yours. Okay, so I'm going to have you sample that. Which one was your glass?
The yellow one.
Okay. All right. I'll have this one. That is good. That's like really, I mean,
But if you wanted it sweeter, you'd put a little
yeah, you
apple.
definitely could. I mean, that's actually spot on what I used to make for the girls.
That's good.
Now,
It's a little,
it's a little, yeah. Now,
Great.
a little tart
I
for
know.
me.
so go ahead and guzzle that down. I'm sure that's hard to say. And I'm gonna let you sample this one. This one's from a local juice. Do I need to pour them out? This is from a local juice bar. I want you to see how like similar this tastes. And this is what I was telling you. Like this little cup right here was $6.99, something like that. So, and I swear, it tastes so much like it. In fact, I actually think the juice we just had is better, to be honest with you.